Hello everybody, welcome to Tarpon Creek. My name is Alan and this is my workshop. Today we're going to be making a piece that I think is a little bit unique. We're going to be making a breadboard, dipping board, crudité board with a guitar in the middle of it. Let me show you a picture, or not a picture, I'll show you the real thing. This is what we're talking about. It's an acoustic guitar. This happens to be sapelli with maple surrounding it. And what we do is we're going to put the bowl for oil or veggie dip right in the center there where the sound hole would be on a guitar. And we're going to go ahead and make two of those. One is going to be that sapelli guitar. The other one is going to be a maple guitar coming out of the sapelli. So let's get started. Okay, let's pull down some wood here. I have to do some shopping, but I've got a piece of hard maple here that will do the trick. This is as rough is how I usually try to buy my wood because it gives me a little bit more flexibility in terms of how I finish it. One of the things, I'm not sure how well you can see it on the camera, but this has a bit of a cup to it. So we're going to have to mill that out of it. And the way I'm going to do that is a combination of the table saw and the jointer. This is not wide enough. This is about 7.5 inches, and I need 9.5 inches for the little board I'm going to make. That oval 14 by 9-ish, 10-ish seems to be a size that people like. So I'm going to need to cut, and I'm going to need to glue something on this to make it wider. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this probably, I think, into 3 strips. And in doing that, I'll be able to, in sort of an exaggerated fashion, take one piece that's on the cup like this, another piece that's kind of flat, and another piece that's like this. And then when I joint them, I'll joint the edges, and then I'll joint one of the faces. Actually, I'll probably joint, no, I'll joint one of the faces. And then when I glue them up, I'll have a nice flat board. It'll have a little bit of a crown on the other side, but we'll take that out with the planer. So that's what I'm going to do with the maple. And I happen to have a piece of sapelli here that I don't really know how I came upon this. I bought it, but I don't remember getting it fully finished. This is surfaced on all 4 sides, so S4S. And 3/4. So this is going to be where I'm aiming for, just around 3/4 of an inch. And that's where we're going to take this down to. This is a little over an inch. Okay, folks, let's make some noise. So what we need here is 10 inches wide. This board is 8 1/4. So I've set up the saw to cut 3 strips, each of which are 2 3/4. And so we'll get those all squared away, flattened and squared, and then we will glue them together. Now, that's only going to get us back to the 8-inch mark, but this board is long enough so that I can cut it in half, and I will have actually 6 pieces. So we'll need a 4th to get us up to the full 10 inches, so that's what we'll do. Now I'm going to run it through the table saw, and you may be able to see it. I've got the cup down, and you can see that it rocks some. It's a fairly substantial cup. So I've got that down, and the reason I have it down is because I'm going to be pushing on the inside edge of this, and I want when it's cut, I want it to fall away from the blade, not to, if it moves toward the blade, it's going to bind. So I want it to fall away from the blade. And we'll do that now and end up with our 3 slices. Okay, so let's get these things jointed up. I'm going to joint a face. I'm taking my my good edge from the table saw, And I'm going to run that up against the fence. Okay, so you probably can't see my face, but that's all right. You've seen enough of that. We've got our maple all nicely trimmed up, square, 2 square sides, and what I'm going to do now is cut them down into those 14-inch lengths so that we can glue them up and get our full 10-inch width. So I'm a great believer in stop blocks, so I've set one up here on the chop saw, and we'll cut the maple pieces as well as the sapelli and go from there. So let's get going. Looking pretty flat. All right, so we're gonna leave this sitting here for a while and we'll go do something else. Okay, friends, well, we're back. And I think our glue's had plenty of time to dry. Really only needed 2 or 3 hours, but it's been a couple of days. You know how that goes. Things happen, things get in the way. So let's see what we got here. Let's take these clamps off. And I think we're going to be in good shape. Okay, so here we go. This is the maple. Looks pretty good on this side. Got a few bumps there. And this side, as you can probably see, is a whole lot bumpier. But we knew that was going to be the case. And our sapelli looks good on both sides. We've got bumps from the glue. But we're going to run that through the planer real quick, and we're going to take that off too. Get things smoothed out here. Okay, here's the exciting part. Now the idea is we lay these 2 pieces on top of each other like this and cut through both of them. Short, head's a little wide, but there we go. That's what we're doing. So now, the reason I put these 2 pieces together instead of cutting them individually, cutting the sapelli and then cutting the maple and then putting them together, is because I would have to be remarkably lucky to be able to cut this set of lines on 2 different pieces of wood and have them match up exactly. I'd end up with places where it was too tight and other places where I had a gap in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut through both pieces of wood along this line. And even if I miss a little bit, it's not going to matter because the top and the bottom are going to be exactly the same. So that when I then put them together with the maple up against the sapelli, they're going to match. They're going to match exactly. So that's what's coming next. So okay. What do you say? Does that look like a guitar? I don't know. Probably going to need some sanding once we get it all put together. But let's give it a shot and see what it looks like. Hang on. All right, let's see what's going to happen here. Well, I took a minute and sanded off the edges on these pieces. There were little burrs from the bandsaw that were kind of separating things a little bit. So everything's smooth and looking pretty good. And you can see that This is obviously the sapelli, and you can see my glitch at the bottom there, and over here is where we had to glue that piece back on. But overall, it looks pretty good. I'm actually even more pleased, I think, with the maple coming out of the sapelli. But anyway, they look really good. But what I think I'm going to try is I'm going to cut some thin strips and outline the guitars with a contrasting color. One of my favorite accent woods is Purple Heart. And I think you can see, I hope I'm pointing to the camera, I think you can see just how purple that is. It's really an amazing wood. Very, very colorful. And you'd never expect that that was, you know, its normal state. It's not been dyed. That is the normal wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some thin strips, and we're going to try to inlay, or not inlay, but outline the guitar with the Purple Heart, and see what that looks like. So, ooh, kind of looks like a piece of paper from here, but we're going to give it a shot. So if you're ever wondering how thin you can make something at the table saw, look at that. I could probably almost bend that back around on itself in a circle. I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut some more strips. I'm going to soak them in hot water for a little while, and then we'll put them in here and go from there. Hey guys, okay. Well, you weren't watching. I came out and sanded down the end of my maple guitar, so that's nice and smooth now. Did the same thing with the sapelli over there. I grabbed our Purple Heart sticks, strips, whatever you want to call them, out of the water, and hopefully they're a little bit more supple, than they were. Right now they don't look very purple, but they will dry out and they should be just fine. So now what we're going to do is glue them in here, or not glue them, we're actually just going to strap them in here and let them dry up. And so hopefully they'll hold the shape a little bit so that when we glue them up, it'll be a little bit easier to do that. So you can see what I've done. I think we're pretty good and tight around there. And you can see maybe in there how things have wrapped right around the bottom of the guitar. So we are now going to let that sit on both of these for several hours and get that wood to dry out some. And then we'll just repeat the same process but with glue. All right, I'll see you back here soon. Okay, folks. We're back, and our glue has had plenty of time to dry. So what do you say? Let's see if we can get it out of the clamps, take it to the next step, and see if we can't finish this project off. So there's one. So here you can get a bit better idea of what we're looking at. But you can see all of our seams look pretty good. And we've got our little pencil line, which helps define it. And that did help fill in some of the gap a little bit. And it's nice and smooth. So while you weren't looking, I snuck out here in the shop and I did a lot of monkeying around and practiced some of my kindergarten skills to draw out a shape that I thought was pleasing. And then using some paper and then some cardboard, I created a template. Now what I can do is I'll draw this outline onto the wood, and then using the bandsaw, I'll cut it as close as I can. Then what we'll do is, using two-sided tape, my favorite, we will tape this onto the wood, and I'll use the router, a router table actually, to run around the edges and cut that out smoothly and exactly. And then we'll do any final sanding we need to do. And then we'll have the board. What we then need to do is get the hole cut out so that we can do the put the little cup in there. So that's what's coming next. I just shifted my work surface over here. This is where I'm going to end up. The other thing I did here, as you can see while you were off getting popcorn, is I set up the router bit that we're going to need. That's a straight cutting bit with the bearing on the bottom, and so that's why you can see it, because when it's upside down it's actually on the top, but it's a bottom bearing bit, and just a straight cut. So what we're going to do is, once I've got the template on there, we'll turn that on and run it around, and what it's going to do is the bearing's going to follow the template. Excuse me. Perils of the trade. So I'm not sure exactly why that grabbed like that, but it did. I think my blade may not be as sharp as I want it to be, but I also may have come on it too aggressively in an area, a spot where there was just a little bit too much sticking out. Much better to come in on a spot where it's very little or almost nothing sticking out beyond the template, so that we kind of ease into that cut. But anyway, we've got it now, and we came out pretty good on our Purple Heart, at least on the bottom. But you can see, I hope you can see right here, that's where that nicked in. And I'm not sure what we're going to do. I'll find a way to clean it up where it may not be ready for prime time, but we can make it pretty good. Certainly good enough for my house. Excuse me again. All right, well, let's get this thing off and then figure out what the heck we're going to do, because obviously we've got our hole in the wrong place. Okay, I think we're set up here. What we're going to do is take the template that we had, and again, the reason we've got this doubled up is because the bit on the router, in order to ride around the inside of this circle, we need the extra thickness. And you'll remember I put the thing in the wrong place because I didn't measure it right. So what I've got is, on each of these, I've got the circle drawn in, so we're just going to sight down there and get that positioned right. And we're going to route it out. We're going to use the router, but we're not using the router table this time. We're going to use the hand router, palm router, trim router, whatever you want to call it, because that's the most easily maneuvered through this whole process. And it's starting to get there. Okay, so you can see it's rocking around a little bit on the bit, and that's what we want. So get it out of there so we don't have any mistakes. Plug it in. I'll tell you what everybody tells you on YouTube. Don't put router bits into your router unless you've got it unplugged. And I've got it set up to its highest speed. We'll lock that down. And so now what I'm going to do is just gently lower this in, and we'll go follow the template around, and then also dig out the center. There's a look at that one. It looks good. I've got a little miniature circular sander that we'll get on that and be able to smooth that out nicely. So, okay. Well, I have to say you guys are a good influence on me. If it weren't for putting this out in front of you, I probably would just be leaving stuff all over the place. typically what I do. Push it out of the way so I've got a space to do what I need to do. And then when it's all done, come back and try to make order of it. But we all know how that works. Sometimes I move from one project to the next without even trying to get the last one cleaned up. So anyway, thank you for that. And what we're going to do now is take these little guys and go over to the router table, which happens to be right next door. And we're going to do the round over on the top edges, just a gentle round over, and then a fairly steep chamfer around the bottom edge. So it's going to angle in and just make it look a little bit more difficult, a little bit more delicate. It's not difficult. And make it also easier to pick up so you don't have to squeeze it or whatever. So off we go. All right, stay tuned. I have learned also the hard way that what we want to do is make sure that what we think we're going to get is what we're in fact going to get. Actually, that's good. That's good. Let's make. Okay. Here goes nothing. Okay, so that's good. That looks all right, both of these. So now, okay, so we got tops round over, bottoms chamfered, got some sanding to do to get this all smoothed out, get the burn marks off, and then we're in the home stretch. Okay, well, we've got our pad out here, and I'm just going to, excuse me, sand each of these to, starting off with 150, then we'll jump to 220, and water pop it at that point, and then do it again once they're dry at 220. It's not exactly what we started out to make. We were going to have this sapelli come a lot further down, but with all of the sanding and the routing and the rest of it, if we didn't tell anybody anything about what went on, I don't think they'd tell. They wouldn't say, wait a minute, I see where you screwed up over here. No, I don't think so. So there again, it's not the total absence of mistakes. It's the ability to compensate for them, either to eliminate them or work around them, somehow adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this other one, and then we'll water pop the two of them, let them dry, and come back and do a finish sand later on, and then put some oil on them and see our final project. All right. Okay, here's the water pop part. This is where we spray it with water. You get a chance to see what it looks like a little bit in its finished state, and then at the same time it's going to raise the grain, which we then sand down, and it will be smooth forever. Excuse me. Too much sawdust out here, I guess. All right, so we just spin this around. Wow, which one do you like best? Let me know. I can't decide. That'll be it. It'll take, half an hour or so, maybe more, to thoroughly dry. Then we'll sand them down to the final 220 with a little hand sanding around the edges as well. Take them over to the laser engraver, put the logo on them, and then oil them. And we will have 2 guitar boards. All right? Okay, last step is rub-a-dub-dub, throw it in the tub. So this is a tub with mineral oil, just 100% mineral oil. It is food safe, skin safe, you name it. So it's a great surface finish. I'm just going to let this sit and dry, and I'll let that sit overnight, and hopefully by the morning, let's see, it's 6:30 in the evening now. By the morning, that'll be fairly well soaked in. I'll just take some paper towels and dry them off to the best of our ability there, and put some beeswax. And again, it's food grade, actually what they call cosmetic grade, 100% cosmetic grade beeswax and food grade mineral oil. So it's a completely food safe surface. Here we are, the finished product. This is the maple guitar with the sapelli background. Love that contrast. Look at that ribbon grain in the sapelli. I just love that. And I think that you can see that all of our surround, our seams came out really nicely. Get a sense of that pencil line. You can see it better in person, I think, but it looks good. And then moving over here, we've got its cousin, sapelli guitar with the maple background. And again, same contrast, and really came out quite nicely. Let's slide this over here and see if we can get them both in the same frame. I can't tell you which one I like best. I can't make up my mind. So I'm curious what you might think. Leave me a comment and tell me what you might think about these two. Also, we've got some bowls here, and I've got 3 different styles or colors of bowl right now. One is this white with a brown kind of interior. Another, which I like a lot, is that blue speckled. And then a third is the black speckled. I'll put this one back up here. So I'm curious, what do you think? Which one of those 3 is the best choice for these? So please leave me a comment. Also, let me know what you think about the video. Would you like to see more of these? I've got a number of other projects coming up, and I'd love to share them with you. So please let me know what you think, and I hope to see you on the next one.